What if I told you that every trade you've taken wasn't about the market at all? That every entry, every exit, every panic, was just a reflection of your past. A replay of your oldest memories, disguised as strategy. You think you're reacting to the chart. But the truth is, you're reacting to yourself. And the self you're reacting to was built long before you ever opened a trading platform. You were shaped by things you didn't choose. A father's silence. A mother's anxiety. A classroom humiliation. A moment when love felt conditional. All those invisible moments became patterns. And those patterns didn't disappear when you started trading. They just found a new screen to project themselves onto. Now, when the candle spikes against you, your body doesn't see a chart. It sees danger. It feels the same panic that once came from being scolded, rejected, or ignored. Your inner child takes the trade, not your strategy. You chase trades because you're chasing validation. You hold losses because you're afraid of disappointment. You over-leverage because risk gives you the illusion of control. The same control you never had growing up. And the most painful part? You call it discipline. But it's not discipline. It's survival. If this feels too real, if you've ever noticed your emotions hijack your logic, you're not alone. Subscribe to Mindwired Trader. Because here, we don't talk about charts. We talk about the mind behind every candle. You see, trauma doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't always come from violence or loss. Sometimes it's subtle. Like never being enough. Or always needing to perform to be seen. That's the kind of trauma most traders carry, the invisible kind. The one that whispers. If I lose, I'm worthless. If I win, I'm safe. You tell yourself it's just money. But deep down, it's never been about money. It's about identity. Winning makes you feel alive. Losing feels like rejection. And so you trade, not for profit, but for peace. The market becomes your therapist. Your execution becomes confession. Your chart becomes a mirror. The problem is, that mirror doesn't lie. It shows you what's really inside. Your fears, your impatience, your need for control. And if you refuse to look, it will keep repeating the same lessons until you do. Every trader reaches that point, where the same pattern keeps appearing. No matter how many systems you change. Different setups. Same emotions. Different account. Same outcome. That's not coincidence. That's conditioning. You think you're battling the market. But you're actually battling your own nervous system. The charts are neutral. It's your state that isn't. When you were a child, your mind learned to protect you. To avoid pain. To seek control. To run when things felt uncertain. That's what trauma is. Your nervous system doing its best to keep you safe. But when that same pattern meets volatility, it becomes your prison. You react before you think. You click before you breathe. You lose before you learn. And you call it bad luck. But it's not luck. It's memory. Your body is remembering fear. And your trades are simply echoes of that fear, played out in real time. When you lose a trade, it's not just a red candle you see. It's the same rejection you felt when someone you trusted let you down. When you chase a loss, it's not greed. It's desperation to rewrite the story. That's why revenge trading hurts more than the loss itself. Because you're not avenging your trade. You're avenging your past. You think you're here to master the market. But the truth is, the market is here to help you master yourself. Every loss is a message. Every hesitation is a clue. Every emotional reaction is your past asking to be healed. That's why awareness is your real edge. Not indicators. Not algorithms. Awareness. Because until you see what's driving you, you'll always think the problem is external, when it's always been internal. And maybe that's the hardest truth for a trader to face. That success isn't about control. It's about connection. Connection to what you feel. Connection to what you avoid. Connection to the part of you that still trades to be loved. The scene fades, dark screen, faint heartbeat sound. A faceless figure sits before the monitor. Charts flicker across his face. But the reflection behind him shows a child holding a toy car, looking at him through glass. He stares at the screen, unaware of the reflection. The market moves. The child disappears. Silence. Until you recognize who's really trading. The market will always be your mirror. This is where it begins. The unlearning of control. The rediscovery of awareness. Because before you can master the market, you must meet the shadow. That's been trading in your name. You can't change what you don't see. But once you see it, you can never unsee it again. The first step isn't control. It's awareness. Not the kind of awareness that comes from reading another psychology book, but the raw, uncomfortable kind. That comes from watching yourself in real time. You're not just watching the chart anymore. You're watching you. The next time your heart races before a trade, don't try to suppress it. Observe it. Feel it. That trembling in your hand isn't weakness. It's memory. That urge to click, buy, isn't intuition. It's the nervous system replaying the only thing it knows, reaction. You've lived most of your life reacting to things you didn't control. And trading just amplified that loop. But awareness breaks it. Imagine this. You see a candle spike against you. Your body tenses. The heat rises in your chest. Your breath shortens. Normally, you'd panic. You'd click, close, or double down. But this time, you don't. You watch the feeling instead. You breathe. You name it. This is fear. This is the same fear I felt when I disappointed someone I loved. You let it exist, without running. That single act, that pause, is the start of rewiring. Every emotion you resist controls you. Every emotion you face, frees you. You see, trauma creates unconscious loops. You don't think them, you become them. You act before thought because your body thinks it's saving you. But in trading, those survival patterns are sabotage. The body that once protected you from emotional pain now protects you from rational profit. The irony is almost poetic. You built walls to stay safe. But those same walls now keep success out. Because the market isn't here to hurt you. It's here to reveal you. So how do you reprogram? Not by deleting emotions, but by changing your relationship with them. Let's call this the observer's edge. When fear rises, you don't become fear, you watch fear. When greed appears, you don't chase it, you name it. When ego whispers, you don't fight it, you smile at it. You stop being the actor in the movie. And start being the one watching from the seat. And when you can see your thoughts without becoming them, you've already won more than half the battle. Your body learned to survive chaos long before you learned to analyze a chart. Maybe you grew up walking on eggshells, never knowing when peace would break. Maybe you learned to stay quiet to avoid rejection. Maybe you worked harder than everyone. Because love always felt earned, never given. That same nervous system now trades for you, trying to avoid pain the only way it knows how. So, when you force yourself to be disciplined, but your body feels unsafe, you're not undisciplined. You're dysregulated. Healing as a trader isn't about stronger willpower. It's about safer awareness. The nervous system doesn't obey motivation. It obeys safety. So, before you try to fix your psychology, you have to give your body permission to relax in uncertainty. Because uncertainty isn't danger. It's simply the absence of control. And the moment you can sit calmly in that space, you stop being reactive and start being free. The moment you stop trying to control the market is the moment you start mastering yourself. Every trader wants certainty. But true mastery comes from making peace with uncertainty. Because the only constant you can ever control is your state. When your inner world is calm, the market becomes neutral again. The chart stops being emotional. Because you stop projecting emotion onto it. You see the market as it is. Not as your past wants it to be. That's real clarity. And this clarity leads to something deeper, trust. Not trust in outcomes, but trust in process. Trust that even when the trade goes wrong, you'll still be okay. That's the energy of a healed trader. One who no longer trades to prove something, but trades from alignment. They don't need the market to validate them, because they already validate themselves. That's freedom. You can't rewrite the past, but you can stop letting it write your next trade. The market will always reflect what's unresolved in you. When you feel impatient, it will slow down. When you feel desperate, it will tempt you. When you feel calm, it will flow. That's not metaphysics, that's psychology. Because you don't trade the market. You trade your nervous system's perception of it. So the next time fear takes over, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what is this emotion trying to protect? That's how you transform pain into power. That's how you make trauma your teacher, not your trigger. That's how you become the observer instead of the puppet. You were never broken. You were just built to survive. Now, it's time to learn how to live. Once you've seen the truth inside yourself, the market stops being your enemy. It becomes your mirror. Most traders keep searching for the next strategy, the next setup, the next confirmation. But the ones who last the longest, they search for stillness. Because when your mind is still, the chart finally speaks clearly. The healed trader no longer trades for the thrill. They trade from alignment. Their wins feel calm. And their losses feel educational, not emotional. They've stopped chasing intensity and started chasing clarity. But make no mistake, this peace isn't natural. It's trained. Every day. Every trade. Every breath. It begins in the quiet moments. Before the screen turns on. Before the market opens. They don't rush into the chart. They check in with themselves first. Am I calm? Am I centered? Am I trading to express skill, or to escape discomfort? If the answer isn't peace, they step back. Because no setup is worth losing alignment. Trading from a healed mind doesn't mean you stop feeling emotion. It means you stop believing every emotion. Fear still shows up, but it doesn't drive. Greed whispers, but it no longer commands. Ego rises, but it's met with a smile. You don't silence your emotions. You befriend them. You turn each one into data. Fear becomes risk management. Greed becomes ambition. Anger becomes focus. Everything that once sabotaged you becomes fuel for clarity. Imagine a trader who loses 3 trades in a row. In the past, panic would set in. I'm broken. I'm failing. I need to make it back. But now, they pause. They journal. They breathe. They look for patterns, not in the chart, but in themselves. Did I overtrade because I felt unseen today? Was I rushing because I felt behind? Awareness turns self-judgment into self-inquiry. And self-inquiry builds mastery. The chart flickers, same golden glow. But this time, there's no tension. Every movement is slow, deliberate, grounded. Each click feels like a breath, not a reaction. He's not chasing, he's responding. The market moves. But inside him, silence. Because discipline is not control. It's alignment between intention and action. When your trading rules come from a regulated mind, they no longer feel like restriction, they feel like protection. You follow them not out of fear, but out of respect for your own boundaries. That's true discipline. Born not from punishment, but from self-trust. And that trust rewires everything. When you trust yourself, you stop needing to prove yourself. You no longer need to catch every move. You no longer measure your worth in pips or profit. You start measuring it in presence, patience, and peace. You stop asking, "How much did I make today?" And start asking, "How well did I trade my plan?" That's the energy shift from survival, mastery. A healed trader doesn't fight the market's uncertainty. They flow with it. Because they understand. The market isn't random. It's rhythm. It's collective human emotion on display. Fear, greed, impatience, hope. The same emotions that once lived uncontrolled within them. Now, they see it clearly. They read emotion objectively. Because they've made peace with their own. When you master your inner world, every external world becomes predictable. The greatest edge in trading isn't IQ. It isn't indicators. It isn't algorithms. It's nervous system regulation. It's emotional neutrality. It's the ability to feel deeply, but act rationally. That's not just a skill. That's evolution. So when you sit in front of the screen tomorrow, remember this. You're not trading candles. You're trading your consciousness. Every click reflects a choice. Between fear and faith. Between chaos and clarity. Between the child and the healed self. Choose awareness. Choose presence. Choose peace. Because in the end, profit fades, but clarity remains. Your past may have built your patterns, but your awareness will build your freedom.